Muslim prayers. As has already been pointed out, the Muslimin are required to pray 5 times a day and night. The night becomes before the day in the calendar, so I've pointed that part out too. But as the prayers are short and to the point, they do not take up much time, nor weary the mind. 17 bows, including the washing up, doesn't have to take more than 17 minutes a day, so the busiest of corporate executives can still perform it. Heads of state can still even do more than's required. In fact, they help to discipline the mind and develop its capacity of concentration by lifting up the heart to God and feeling the comfort and strength of His presence. Of the 5 periods allotted for prayers, none can be called irrational, nor can the midday prayers be criticized as interfering with the exigencies of modern business practice, for it must not be forgotten that in the middle of the day there is always an interruption of work for the midday meal, which is a physical necessity, and during this interval a Muslim can easily find a few minutes in which to say his prayers, thus satisfying his spiritual needs and resuming his work refreshed and fortified, both in body and mind. Besides this, the Muslim law provides that if, for any special reasons, the prayers cannot be said within the prescribed period, it's permissible to offer them at the earliest opportunity. There's a difference, of course, between cannot and, well, it's not the easiest thing to stop. The form of Muslim prayers described in the appendix is based on the traditions of the practices of the Prophet and were prescribed to maintain the uniformity of practice. The Muslim is not required to put on any special vestments. There is no music or incense, nor any such rituals as are considered necessary for communal worship in other religions. Islam does not require any ceremony of consecration of the ground on which the Muslim builds his place of worship, masjid, mosque. Nor does the Quran recognize such a place as essential for the due worship of God. It is one of the glories of Islam, says an English writer, that its temples are not made with hands, and that its ceremonies can be performed anywhere upon God's earth or under His heaven. The Muslim offers his prayers wherever he happens to be at the appointed hour. He can pray standing, sitting, or lying down, alone or in a company. For the soldier, it is enough if he whispers a remembrance in the recesses of his heart, amid the heat and clamor of the battlefield. Every man and woman learns to say the prayers individually or in groups, with a mind not befogged, but able to understand all that is said. Surah 4, Ayat 43. The Muslim believes that while praying, they are in the presence of their Maker, and therefore stand in orderly rows and pray in a respectful attitude. They turn their faces towards Mecca, not to worship anything or anyone, but as the central point round which the appointed hours of prayer are focused, the religious thoughts of the Muslimin all the world over, and he feels that he is one of the great community which keeps alive the memory of the inviolable place of worship where Abraham prayed to one God without partner or associate, and which again saw the light of the regenerated truth preached by Muhammad. The Quran does not teach that God is to be found in any particular direction. Unto God belongeth the east and the west, and whithersoever ye turn, there is the presence of thy Lord. Behold, God is all-pervading, all-knowing. Surah 2, 815. Islam makes cleanliness a part of godliness. Prayers cannot be offered in a state of impurity. Surah 4, 43. The worshipper must be clean in mind as well as body, and wear a clean, simple, decent dress. The parts most likely to be soiled, the hands, feet, and face, are washed before prayers in the prescribed manner, and this is considered sufficient before daily prayers. But for the congregational prayers on Fridays and on Eid days, a complete bath or change of garments are necessary. Before attending public worship, one is also directed not to smoke, eat, or drink anything that may make one's breath a nuisance to fellow worshippers. These are excellent hygiene rules, and keep one to achieve the essential requirement of cleansing the mind and heart from worldly thoughts. Now, the world in Islam is considered a means. And now let me double check the index and leave that part for another recording. But the sanitation would be particularly that related to disease transmission would be considered, well, cleanliness, but there would be a separate for disease transmission nowadays. There would be a separate section for the environmental concerns. Perhaps there'd be something else that would be a focus in a modern selection. But there's a section on polygamy before we get into the sayings. And so there's going to be 439 sayings.